Okay. So how many of you guys have experienced sleep deprivation? Seems like all of you have. See if you can identify with doing any of these things. So putting both contacts in one eye, almost mistaking nail glue for contact solution, which would be painful, going to sleep and forgetting the dogs were outside in the cold, putting the dustpan in the refrigerator and the milk on the floor near the broom, looking for your glasses and wearing 2 pairs on your head, and finally wearing a terrific suit but 2 different black pumps. And these are all things that on HuffingtonPost.com that were done when somebody was sleep deprived. So these are just some of the crazy things that we do when we haven't gotten enough sleep. If none of those connected with you, maybe you can identify with something one guy did while looking for his cell phone. He says, I once spent 5 minutes searching desperately for my cell phone, complaining the whole time about it being missing to my girlfriend, who I was talking to on my cell phone. This went on until she timidly asked, are you using your cell phone right now? It was such an out-of-body experience, he says, I just hung up. And that was also on HuffingtonPost.com. So I'm sure we can all identify at one time or another with being so tired that it's hard to function, right? And cause us to do crazy, silly things that we wouldn't normally do if we'd gotten enough sleep that night, right? But what if sleep deprivation put you or someone else's life at risk? It turns out that many people today are sleep deprived and don't even know it, and as a result are putting themselves at risk by simply driving. And it turns out that driving while being sleep deprived can be as dangerous as drinking while driving, or being under the influence of alcohol or drugs even. An article on CNN.com tells about a study that was done in Australia and New Zealand studying this very thing. It turns out that getting less than 6 hours of sleep a night can affect your coordination, reaction time, and your judgment. They said that this poses a very serious risk, right? And the study goes on to say that 16 to 60% of road accidents involve sleep deprivation. So a lot of times we simply think that it's dangerous to get behind the wheel when you're drunk, or obviously if somebody were using drugs, that would be dangerous. But it turns out just simply not getting as much sleep as you need daily can be a cause for very serious accidents. When I heard this information, I was very surprised. As somebody who tends to live a very busy life, sometimes I am getting by on simply 5 hours of sleep a night. And I'm sure you can identify with that too, right? In fact, somebody that I know was driving home late at night and fell asleep at the wheel and ended up with just some bumps and some bruises, but still it was scary for everybody hearing and made us think about driving at night when we're tired. So I urge you to think twice the next time you're driving at night and you're exhausted. Maybe you're coming home from a friend's house, or maybe you're coming home from a party or from a game and you're tired. It's probably a good idea for you to think about staying the night in a hotel or staying at your friend's house that night, rather than putting yourself at risk or others at risk. The Australian study found that people who drive after being awake 17 to 19 hours perform worse than those who had a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. So that just shows that if you wake up in the morning, you go about your busy day, and then you go and you enjoy an evening out, and then you're driving home, that really can be dangerous for you to be driving, even if you haven't drank alcohol that night, even if you didn't drink alcohol that night. It's just not worth it to drive when you're tired. Think of the consequences before you get behind the wheel when you're tired. It might even be a good idea to know if you're going to be going somewhere that night to take a nap, and that will give you just that extra energy that you need, and so that you're not as tired in the evening. Of course, sleep deprivation involves more than just simply driving late at night without taking a nap. In fact, sleep deprivation is something that has a tendency to build up over time without us realizing it. This has been described as a sleep debt. So there is a certain amount of sleep that each of us needs to get nightly, and it varies for different people. For some people, it might be 6 hours. For some people, they might need 10 hours of sleep. But if you're going days and days without getting the amount of sleep that you need to function well on a day-to-day basis, then that debt just builds up on top of the other. When we continuously miss out on the amount of sleep that we need, deprivation builds up and can affect us negatively, both mentally and physically over time. And also is a major contributor in those types of accidents, behind the wheel accidents, accidents at work, just not thinking clearly, going many days on end without getting the sleep that you need. So it's important for us to make sure to get the amount of sleep that we need daily. I know that can be hard. You know, I often find the need to go to bed late and to wake up early, robbing me of the 7 hours of sleep a night that I need too. But I encourage you to identify the amount of sleep that you need and then stick to that. Try your hardest to go to bed at the same time every night and wake up at the same time every morning. It would just help you to get into a routine to make sure that you know when you need to go to sleep and when you need to wake up in order to feel fresh in the morning. Trust me, I know that it can be a challenge, but with all the studies that have come out that show the dangers of sleep debt and sleep deprivation, it really is imperative that we take this issue seriously as we take drunk driving. Taking the time to make sure that you're getting the sleep that you need so that you're functioning well at school and well at work, and most of all, that you are functioning well behind the wheel. It's the best thing that we can do to make sure that we're being safe, especially while on the road. Thank you.